Hi, everyone. I'm ABC 10 Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods taking a look at what is shaping up to potentially be a very wet outlook across the west. That after coming off of this week with occasional showers and even some thunderstorms rumbling through and more Sierra snow. So we're going to unpack each one of these. But the Climate Prediction Center said, yeah, we're likely looking wetter across the entire state as we wrap up the month of January, start off on February. Not direct hits for every storm coming through, but certainly something worth watching. Likely warmer scenario, though, is going to start to shift its way ever so slightly to the east as we start to see these successive systems coming on through in the Pacific. The first of which that we're going to be tracking for tonight's forecast is going to be our Wednesday outlook. We're already starting to see the second in a line of storms moving through for this work week, moving on the coast. And this is what's going to take us through tonight and early tomorrow. As you can see in the overnight hours, we're starting to see the first bands of rain moving through the North Bay area from Santa Rosa through San Francisco, much of this affecting the northwest coast. And that's where we'll see those slightly higher totals coming in. Occasional moderate to light rain moving through during the overnight hours in through the morning commute, where right now it looks like we will see some heavier rain moving through along I-5 and Highway 99 for the morning commute, as well as along I-80 if you're headed westbound out of the capital city and through San Francisco. Snow for this year, it starts off at about 5,500 feet. It will move up the hill during the day to roughly about 7,500 feet. That will still put snow on many of the passes throughout the morning and the mid-afternoon. More showers, very scattered in nature, coming through during the afternoon. A little break in the cloud cover periodically as we head into late Wednesday and into Thursday. We'll start to see the clearing skies. As far as snowfall for this year, it's not the biggest storm that we could see at this point in the season, but still picking up roughly about 1 to almost 8 inches of snow for the highest elevations. No watches or warnings out for this particular storm system. As far as our rain totals, coming in Wednesday into early Thursday, about 1/4 of an inch to nearly 3/10 of an inch, extending from the valley towards the coast, about 1/2 an inch or so through parts of the foothills. And again, a mix of rain and snow for the Tahoe Basin, which sits roughly at about 6,200 to 6,300 feet. Here's the long line of moisture coming in from the Pacific. Now, again, it's a pretty decent storm lineup for us. Not all direct hits, as you can see. This particular one kind of poised to hit the northwest coast of California through that California-Oregon border overnight tonight through early tomorrow. So light rain and snow in our active weather timeline for Wednesday. Thursday, we return to morning fog and then a mix of sun and clouds. Friday and Saturday, just because we're in this unsettled weather pattern, we're still going to call for that slight chance of a very light shower. Again, as we take a look at the numbers coming in, statewide precipitation in San Diego, we got nearly a month worth of rain in about 3 hours over Monday. So a lot of flooding, unfortunately, but it did bring us back up to near average conditions for total rainfall coming in since the beginning of the water year, October 1st of last year. So San Diego and Santa Barbara getting pretty hard hit with this last round of rain on Monday. Some of that due to some thunderstorm action that just dropped a lot of heavy rain in a short period of time. Modesto, we're now 2 inches above average, and Stockton as well, about 1/2 an inch or so above average, as well as Eureka. So it's been really hit and miss throughout the state. Some of us still running slightly below average, but January is one of the biggest months for precipitation. So it's nice that we did do some nice catching up over the course of what is typically our wettest month of the year. Here comes that first weather system that we're tracking for tonight. Again, this is the second for this week, but the first as we move forward. It clears out of here by Wednesday evening. Again, back to the dry weather on Thursday before we get ready for some just on and off showers. Again, that storm track is predominantly just to the north of us, so it will be affecting more so extreme northern California, which, by the way, since Shasta, our biggest reservoir, sits right up there to the north of Sacramento in the northern San Joaquin Valley, or Sacramento Valley. Nice to see that we are getting some of that heavier precipitation coming in. Our second biggest reservoir, Oroville, just north of I-80 here, just off to the east of I-5. Nice to see some of that rain coming in there as well, and snow in the forecast. As far as our atmospheric river lineup, the first one that we see for tonight into tomorrow lining up and really bringing us some decent totals here. Not the biggest storm, but again, nice to get a little bit of a break, especially with all the flooding that we were seeing throughout Southern California to start off the work and school week. Next one that's in line does head more up to the Pacific Northwest, right through, it looks like California-Oregon border. Then we get a little bit of a break. By Sunday, things are still dry and actually quite mild. Storm track is amplified to the north of us here, and that's going to allow for some unseasonably warm weather to blanket much of the state. Then we get towards Wednesday of next week. That's when we start to see the potential for multiple atmospheric rivers to be affecting us. Now, I will put this caveat out there that we've been seeing weather models go back and forth between super wet to just typical conditions into the beginning of February. It's just something that we're going to be watching, because if we do see that lineup of storms start to move our way without a whole lot of break, it could cause potentially more flooding issues throughout the state. So when the Climate Prediction Center issues their high risk hazards outlook, we definitely take notice when we're in the high risk to moderate risk category for precipitation. And you can see that's the case in that 8 to 14 day threshold for California. As we turn our attention to snow, we also are looking at that high risk throughout much of the Shasta, I should say, all the way through the Sierra Spine. Again, this is going to be deeper in the forecast next week. And then for wind, also a potential for high risk throughout the state. That's because if these weather conditions prevail pretty much for next week, it could be a direct hit and really some difficult travel conditions next week. But again, caveat is a lot of the weather models back and forth with how this is playing out. Again, this is the bigger picture, so we can really see where we're seeing the bulk of the precipitation head in on Wednesday, tail end brushing the central region of the valley through California, with some snow for the Sierra all the way through the Cascades. Nice to see some of that snow coming in again during the time of year that we typically see this type of precipitation. On Friday, the big bulk of the rain heading north of the Sacramento and San Joaquin valleys, but we will be brushed with an occasional light shower possible Friday into Saturday. Heading into the end of the weekend and beginning of the following work week, it's dry, it's mild, and then we start to open things up on Wednesday. Big line of storms moving through, not only for Northern California. It appears that the storm track looks potentially to be moving back into Southern California. As you can see here, really bringing a lot of rain into Southern California, starting off late on Wednesday through Thursday and Friday, and also a slightly colder scenario setting up behind that first weather system coming in on Wednesday, kind of opening up the door for that cold air to come in. That would lower that snow line down to about 5,000 feet or snow. Would be nice to get a little bit lower snow coming in. That certainly helps that snowpack, especially as we head towards the drier months. For our temperatures tomorrow, a wet one for us. Highs will be warming to near 40 for the Tahoe Basin, 40s and 50s for the foothills, with 50s to near 60 along the coast. We'll see highs in the 50s throughout the Central Valley, starting off with morning rain, partial afternoon clearing. We get right back to the action late Friday through Saturday, possibly into Sunday, lingering for the Sierra. For the foothills, we're looking at on and off showers through that 5-day forecast. For the coast, mainly a mostly cloudy forecast Friday and Saturday. Still kind of watching for a few raindrops out there. Our 10-day forecast, as you can see, we got some nice drying out on Sunday and Monday, as well as Tuesday, before potentially a bigger setup for more rain and snow for the middle of next week.